NCT was a limitless idea, with new units forming, members rotating, boundaries constantly redrawn. And one of the subunit was NCT DREAM.
Let's get it done.
7 teenagers built to be temporary, a unit designed to end until they became the exception that beat the system. And that twist changed everything. NCT debuted in 2016 as SM's most experimental project yet. The concept, a limitless group. Members could rotate between subunits based on location, age, or concept. Seoul had NCT 127, China had Wavy, and for the youngest members there was NCT DREAM. The concept of it were clear from the start. DREAM was the youth unit. Members would graduate when they turned 20 years old. The unit was designed as a launch pad, a training ground where teenagers became idols before moving to other subunits or debuting officially elsewhere. NCT DREAM debuted on August 25, 2016 with Chewing Gum. 7 members: Mark Lee, Renjun, Jeno, haechan, jaemin, Chenle, and jisung. Ranged in age from 14 to 17. The song was pure, sugary pop, complete with bright synths, with hoverboards used in the choreography. It was marketed as innocent and playful. Fans instantly called them babies, and the nickname stuck. The music video racked up views. The song charted modestly. But from day one, there was a countdown. Mark, the oldest, had less than 3 years before he was required to leave. Every comeback, every stage, every moment carried an invisible timer. NCT DREAM wasn't built to last anyway. It was built to transition. The concept made sense on paper, but in reality, it created a constant ticking clock. The fans knew it, the members knew it, yet nobody openly addressed the looming deadline. February 2017 brought My First and Last, which served as DREAM's first significant tonal shift. It was still bright and youthful, but the lyrics started carrying more emotional weight. Focusing on first love and first heartbreak, the music video leaned into school uniforms and soft golden hour lighting. This track solidified NCT DREAM's niche, kids singing and performing about being kids. It charted higher than Chewing Gum, and the accompanying album sold over 75,000 copies in its first month. The momentum was clearly building. Summer that year, they introduced We Young, featuring a tropical house production sound. The music video showcased ATVs, bonfires, and the ocean, pushing a concept of freedom and youth as a fleeting, precious moment that had to be seized before it's gone. The album went on to move over 120,000 copies in its first month. DREAM began making appearances on popular variety shows like Weekly Idol and Running Man. Fans connected with their genuine chaos and the natural, friend-like dynamic that felt less manufactured than the typical K-pop group image. Yet, the graduation system remained the unspoken reality. Mark had only 1 year left, and the other members were quickly catching up. With every successful release, the question grew louder. What happens when they all turn 20? Would all members be separated? Would DREAM eventually end after the last member turned 20? SM Entertainment offered no answers, only the teaser of the next comeback and the silent countdown. March 2018 marked the release of Go, a stark departure with a darker, hip-hop heavy sound, industrial warehouse sets, and leather styling. The choreography was aggressive. This was DREAM actively trying to mature and shed the cute label. The album debuted at number 2 on the Gaon chart, but the conversation surrounding the group was primarily dominated by the approaching deadline. Mark's graduation was confirmed for the end of that year. Fans started organizing petitions and trending hashtags. demanding an end to the system. SM remained silent. September 2018's We Go Up became Dream's final release as a 7-member group. The song was uplifting, focused on growth and moving forward. The music video was set in a dreamlike carnival. The album sold over 180,000 copies in its first week, and they won their first music show. Mark cried on stage, the members cried on stage, even the fans cried. Everyone knew what was coming. The pressure of being the youth unit became an existential crisis. These were children watching their own professional expiration date arrive in real time, and there was nothing they could do about it. On December 2018, Mark Lee officially graduated from NCT DREAM, moving to focus fully on NCT 127 and later joining the supergroup Super M. Dream continued as a 6-member group, dropping the track Boom in July 2019. On paper, the system worked exactly as planned. In reality, a profound absence was felt. Fans referred to it as the Mark-shaped hole. The looming graduation system became a constant source of profound anxiety. Haechan was next in line, followed by the rest of the group. Every single comeback felt like a countdown to another painful loss. Dream had become a ticking time bomb, and SM offered zero clarity. Would Dream eventually disband entirely? Would they continue shuffling members in and out indefinitely? Would Jisung, Themakne eventually be performing alone? The uncertainty was suffocating. Fans quickly organized, launching petitions that garnered hundreds of thousands of signatures, social media campaigns, and trending hashtags. The collective demand was unified and clear. Make Dream permanent. Stop the graduations concept. Bring Mark back. SM Entertainment remained silent while the group continued to perform. During a period of uncertainty about the group's future structure, NCT DREAM embarked on their first concert tour, The Dream Show, which included international stops before being cut short due to the pandemic. But the emotional fracture was visible. Dream had become a symbol of everything fragile about the K-pop system. A reminder that your favorite group could be dismantled by policy, not by choice. Fans were fighting against the idea that a concept mattered more than the people in it. On April 2020, SM Entertainment made the unexpected announcement NCT DREAM would become a fixed unit. The news meant no more graduations, no more rotations, and the official return of Mark Lee. Fans flooded timelines with tears, disbelief, and overwhelming relief. This decision was unprecedented. SM had never before reversed a system so formally established, but Dream's escalating sales figures, dedicated fan base, and undeniable momentum had made them simply too valuable to dismantle. Mark officially rejoined the lineup during preparations for the Hot Sauce album in 2021. 7 members again, but this time, the arrangement was permanent. There was no countdown, no looming graduation clause, no expiration date, just 7 members building a future together. This decision was more than a business pivot. It was a validation of the fans' tireless campaigns, proof that collective demand could genuinely change corporate policy, and evidence that a concept could evolve without erasing the people who made it work. Dream's rebirth wasn't framed as nostalgia or a temporary reunion tour. It was a complete reset, a second chance to build something that was supposed to be temporary into something that could last. The emotional weight of that moment was immense. For years, Dream had performed under the shadow of imminent separation. Every stage felt like it could be the final one, every victory bittersweet. Now, for the first time since their debut, they could perform without an invisible timer. They could plan a future, make long-term goals, and simply exist to do what they love. The unit that wasn't built to stay had rewritten its own ending, and they were just getting started. On May 2021 was when Hot Sauce exploded onto the K-pop scene. The track featured an aggressive beat, a chant-heavy chorus, and a music video leaning into vibrant, surreal chaos. The accompanying choreography felt unhinged in the best way possible. The album sold over 2 million copies, making it Dream's first double million seller. They briefly became the best-selling SM unit of all time up to that point. The song dominated charts, won music shows, and went viral on TikTok. The true victory, however, was quieter. All 7 members standing on stage together again, a complete formation. NCT DREAM Reborn. Just 6 weeks later, the repackage arrived. Hello Future was the antithesis of hot sauce. Bright, hopeful, with a music video full of saturated colors and dreamlike imagery. The song became a summer anthem, and the repackage sold over 1.3 million copies. Combined with hot sauce, the album cycle moved over 3.6 million units. In 1 year, Dream had gone from a temporary unit to one of the biggest boy groups in K-pop. March 2022 brought Glitch Mode, a track that embraced a deliberately quirky identity. It featured 8-bit production, intentionally glitched vocals, and a music video resembling an early 2000s video game. The concept revolved around reality breaking down. Some fans loved the experimental edge, others found it jarring, but it sold. The album moved over 2 million copies in its first week, Dream's fastest-selling album yet. They announced their second world tour, The Dream Show 2, in a Dream, spanning 32 cities across multiple continents. The repackage, Beatbox, followed in May with a funky bass line and retro synths, selling over 1.5 million copies. The total Glitch Mode album cycle moved over 4.4 million units in total. December 2022 saw the release of Candy as a winter special. It was a beloved remake of HOT's classic, honoring SM's first-generation boy group through a unit that almost didn't make it to their 7th year. The single sold over 1.2 million copies, Dream's 6th consecutive million seller. July 2023's ISTJ
Let's get it done.
marked another tonal shift. With darker, moodier, the album sold over 3.6 million copies in its first week, their biggest opening week ever. They became the best-selling SM artist of 2023. Not just best-selling boy group, but best-selling artist overall. The subsequent tour, The Dream Show 3, expanded to include stadium dates in multiple cities, not just arenas. NCT DREAM had evolved into SM's most reliable and commercially successful unit. They consistently outsold NCT 127, Wavy, and even EXO during this period. Their concerts sold out in minutes. Their albums consistently broke records, and their brand deals multiplied rapidly. And they'd done it without ever being the experimental unit, without being the global unit. They'd done it simply by enduring and refusing to break apart. March 2024 had brought Smoothie, with aggressive, dystopian, and featuring raw emotion with militaristic choreography. That release also exceeded 2 million copies in its first week. On November 2024, When I'm With You arrived, defining the official adulthood era of NCT DREAM. It featured warm production and lyrics focused on genuine connection rather than fleeting youth. This sound was a world away from the youth concept they debuted with, but it carried the same sincerity. The album moved over 2 million copies in its first week, making it their 8th consecutive million seller. These were now men who'd spent 8 years growing up in front of cameras, under systems, inside a concept that tried to define them, and now they were defining themselves. That era was about existing as adults who began their journey as kids. This is the dream that forged its own path and future. They achieved this not by abandoning what worked or chasing fleeting trends, but by evolving naturally alongside their members. By proving that youth doesn't have to be permanent to be real, NCT DREAM is no longer a temporary project. They are no longer boys. They are the group that successfully rewrote the rules by simply refusing to disappear. The story continued to unfold in July 2025 with the release of their fifth full-length album, Back to the Future, featuring a title track of the same name and a double lead single, Chiller. The concept was a direct nod to their origins, heavily leaning into hoverboard motifs and time travel imagery, essentially creating a sci-fi narrative around their 9-year journey. It was their biggest comeback yet, selling over 1 million copies in the first week, becoming their 9th consecutive million seller and 7th album to achieve over 1 million first-week sales. The tour that accompanied it, the Dream Show 4, Dream the Future, took them to major stadiums across Asia, including Seoul, Bangkok, and Jakarta, confirming their status as a global touring powerhouse capable of filling massive venues. Their evolution moved beyond simple concept resets or retro callbacks. It focused on proving that longevity stemmed from unity, not a rigid systems blueprint. Every performance, every visual choice, every detail emphasized that Dream had permanently outgrown the framework that once confined them. This specific comeback marked more than a typical stylistic cycle. It was a clear declaration that the group designed to rotate had become one of SM Entertainment's most enduring and vital pillars. Just a few months later, in November 2025, NCT DREAM announced their 6th mini-album, Beat It Up. The teasers hinted at a starkly different concept, a raw, aggressive, fighting aesthetic that showcased a more mature and intense side of the group. The title track, Beat It Up, is a dynamic, hip-hop track built around bold kicks, a heavy bass, and repetitive vocal sounds that create an addictive rhythm. The music video for Beat It Up amplifies this message of breaking boundaries by metaphorically framing life's challenges as a fight. The members transform into boxers in various stylized settings and choreography featuring punch motions to convey powerful energy, showcasing that the members still have much to show in their ongoing growth journey. The lyrics convey NCT DREAM's ambition to boldly break the limits set by the world and move forward on their own journey and timeline. The track list includes Rush, a pop song that creates a tense atmosphere, Cold Coffee, which tells a story of enduring love with R&B elements, Tricky, another hip-hop track driven by a heavy bass line, powerful rap, and an unpredictable tension. The unit songs includes Butterflies and Tempo. This era was a powerful departure from the retro-futuristic vibes of Go Back to the Future. Beat It Up presented NCT DREAM not as time travelers, but as fighters, individuals ready to take on the world and challenge expectations head-on. It marked another definitive step away from the youth label and deeper into a raw, unfiltered identity. With each reinvention, NCT DREAM cemented their future by relentlessly redefining what their group could be at every turn. NCT DREAM was originally intended to be temporary, a training unit, a circulating concept, a method to funnel young talent through SM Entertainment's system. Instead, they became the unit that fundamentally broke that system. This change didn't come about through scandal or rebellion. It happened through sheer sales figures, overwhelming fan support, and undeniable proof that a group's identity can evolve without discarding its origins. NCT DREAM's impact is measured in numbers. Over 20 million albums sold, multiple successful world tours, and consistent chart dominance. However, their true influence extends beyond statistics and is much harder to measure. They're proof that K-pop groups don't have to follow a formula, that a youth concept can mature without losing its core, that a temporary unit can become permanent if the demand is loud enough. NCT DREAM stands as a symbol of profound growth for the members and the industry. They're a rare case where a concept outlived its own expiration date and became stronger because of it. While most groups disband when the initial concept fades, Dream adapted the concept to fit who they became. Their story established a powerful precedent. It highlighted that fan voices truly matter, that companies can reverse decisions if the data proves them wrong, that a group of teenagers can become adults without losing what made people care in the first place. NCT DREAM did more than just survive the graduation system. They demonstrated that loyalty, consistency, and evolution can all coexist, proving that it's possible to honor the past while forcefully building a future. And in doing so, they became one of the most important acts in modern K-pop history. NCT DREAM dared to be bold. Will you?